it was a white powder, it tasted sweet, so it wasn't very noticeable if you mixed it with sugar. So our brown stuff is not going to be much use for poisoning people. Fortunately, we're not going to try. I have two favourite stories about poisoning. Both of them are true. The first one happened in a town in the north of England called Bradford. It happened in 1858 in October. In those days, sugar was quite expensive, so people who made sweets were very dishonest and added some cheap powder to the sugar so that they didn't have to put so much sugar in the sweets. They called this white powder daft. On this particular occasion, a sweet maker called John Neal sent his lodger to go and get some daft to put in his next batch of sweets. He called them lozenges. And he went to the next town and went to a pharmacist, and the pharmacist told his assistant to go and fetch the daft, which was a white powder. And unfortunately, he didn't explain correctly, so the pharmacist sold 12 pounds, that's 5 kilos, of arsenic oxide to the unfortunate customer. This was mixed in with a sweet mixture, and more than 20 people died of arsenic poisoning in Bradford, and more than 200 were really ill. And this was one of the things that led to a greater control of arsenic in the United Kingdom. The other case took place in the early 1920s in a town in the west of England called Hay-on-Wye. The attacks were carried out by a solicitor, a lawyer, who in fact was the only lawyer who's ever been hanged in the UK. It is believed he poisoned his wife with arsenic over a period of several months, and then one of his business rivals was invited to tea. The lawyer passed a scone, a little cake, in his fingers to his rival, and as he passed it, he said, "Excuse fingers." And in that moment, it is believed he put arsenic on the cake. His guest was very ill and was found to have been poisoned with arsenic. So they exhumed the body of his wife, dug it up, and it was full of arsenic. So he was tried and convicted and was executed. And it should be said that he always denied that he had done this, though when he was arrested, he did have arsenic powder in a packet in his pocket.
Did he have good white powder or brown sludge?
He had nice white powder. The question is, how did they find arsenic in the body of his dead wife who'd been under the ground for several months? And it's with a very clever test that was invented in the early 19th century called Marsh's test. And Neil decided he would like to do Marsh's test too. The first thing you have to do is to add metallic zinc. I was really excited. I was allowed to chop up the zinc. You put in the pieces of zinc into a round bottom flask, and then you add whatever you think contains arsenic. In our case, a small amount of Neil's brown sludge. And then from a dropping funnel, you drop in dilute sulfuric acid, and the sulfuric acid reacts with the zinc and generates hydrogen. And the hydrogen reacts